Hello everybody, and welcome to this electrifying deck tech. Today I'm here to share with you the closest to a combo deck I have built, helmed by Kalamax, the Stormsire. Kalamax is a legendary creature, elemental dinosaur, for 1, a green, a blue, and a red, that says, whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if Kalamax the Stormsire is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. And whenever you copy an instant spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Kalamax. This is a deck that came about from my desire to build a Spellslinger deck that, while also having some bodies, because I really enjoy playing with creatures and physical things. I am a huge fan of the Ikoria set, from its mechanics, in particular the mutate mechanic, to the setting and the amazing combinations of creatures we were treated to there. In addition to that, the Simic color pair has always given me a huge amount of trouble when building a deck, because, much like the guild, I always try to cram way too many different effects into the deck and end up with a jumbled pile of cards that don't really work together. After my last failure, while with building a Simic deck, I decided to try and build one of the color combinations that involves Simic, and landed on Kalamax. When he came out, I honestly felt he was an overpowered commander. But when I inspected him closely, I realized he was a rather fair, so to speak, commander, though with a penchant for explosive plays. As usual, I'll be dividing this deck tech into chapters, going over the philosophy behind the deck, its themes, and finally an exploration of the deck itself, going over the cards and explaining my reasoning behind their choice. Let me just organize this into a pile of card types so it's easier when it comes time to explore the deck itself. First off, its philosophy. What drew me most to Kalamax, aside from the opportunity to build a teamer deck, was his art. Though it is a bit dark, when inspected closely, you can see that he is a gigantic dinosaur that is conducting lightning through its back, and I find that simply awesome. As such, I wanted to make a lightning and thunder deck, which sadly I couldn't accomplish. So I moved to trying to build a deck that would emulate what a relationship between a Planeswalker and Kalamax would look like. Meaning, what would that Planeswalker introduce to Kalamax, and what magics would such a Planeswalker use in proximity to Kalamax in order for them to be amplified by its power. Themes. The biggest theme that permeates the deck is harnessing the storm, though funnily enough, the deck doesn't use any cards with the keyword storm. The storm here is a storm of knowledge and learning that is enhanced by Kalamax's presence. Since there is such a storm here, I felt the character that would like to know Kalamax the most would be Ral Zarek, since he is a storm-centric mage that deals mostly with lightning. Plus, he's an all-time favorite, personal favorite among the vast cast of Planeswalkers. And as you can see, there are 3 exemplars of Ral Zarek in the deck. Now onto the cards themselves. We will start, as usual, with the mana base. As in the same vein as my Kelsian deck, this deck has all the basic land arts from Ikoria in it. So we have 9 basics, 3 islands, 3 mountains, and 3 forests. Now, I know this is not the optimal mana base for the deck, but I personally feel better when I have the same amount of lands that each produce the different colors of the deck. Also, a Reliquary Tower, since this deck does run a lot of draw spells. Then we have a number of cards that produce blue-red from the 3 pathways, the Dominaria United Taplands, the duels actually, the Taplands, so Sulphur Falls, Stormcarved Coast, the Filterlands, Cascade Bluffs, the Shockland, Steam Vents, plus this one has lightning on the art, a Volcanic Island, and a Frostboil Snarl. Also, Firelit Thicket, Taiga, Game Trail, Rockfall Vale, Crag Crown Pathway, Wooded Ridgeline, Rootbound Crag, Stomping Ground, Tropical Island, a Dreamroot Cascade, Tangled Islet, Hinterland Harbor, Flooded Grove, Vine Glimmer Snarl, Breeding Pool, and Bark Channel Pathway. And for the Goldlands, we have a Survivor's Encampment, a Holdout Settlement, and a Ketriot Triome. These two in particular I find to be very useful if I need to tap Kalamax in order to be able to copy an instant or sorcery, without having to attack with Kalamax. Because though he is a 4/4 that will grow larger as the game goes on, he is rather fragile if someone wants to remove him from the game. Now on to the creatures and planeswalkers. First off, going with planeswalkers. There are 3 planeswalkers in the deck. They are all iterations of Ral Zarek. So we have Ral Storm Conduit, Ral Zarek OG, and Ral Caller of Storms. These two, theme-wise, I feel are perfect. The OG Ral Zarek is a bit more of a thematic fail. However, I really like the card. I fell in love with him when he was revealed in Dragon's Maze. Plus, he is the voice of Dragon's Maze's trailer. So, Guilds of Ravnica, the Dragon of Mizzet invites you all. The creatures. We have Errant Street Artist, which I feel, though she comes from a very urban plane in New Capenna, I feel there is art in Kalamax's Lightning, and that would appeal to such a character. Plus, her ability to copy a spell that I control that wasn't cast is very powerful. Plus, if I copy the copy of an instant, it will count as copying an instant, giving Kalamax another +1/+1 counter. Krark, the Thumbless, mostly for the fun. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, I flip a coin. If you lose the flip, the spell comes to hand. It is bounced back to the hand. But if you win this flip, it copies it again. So if I cast an instant that Kalamax copies, and then I lose the flip, essentially I get 1 copy of the instant that I can cast later on. Very useful. Perhaps the most powerful card in the deck is Veiran, Voice of Duality. Due to its Magecraft ability, not really the Magecraft, but the second line that says, if you casting or copying an instant or sorcery spell causes the triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So, you cast an instant. You cast your first instant of the turn, and Kalamax is tapped. So you get 1 trigger. You copy the instant. That Veiran copies the trigger, giving you 2 copies of the instant. Then, whenever you copy an instant, you put a +1/+1 counter on Kalamax. You just copied 2 instants. And this is triggered whenever you copy. So you get 2 +1/+1 counters per copied instant spell with Veiran. It really does give me headaches whenever this comes onto the field. Also, given that this is an Ikoria themed deck, I made the effort to run some mutate. So, Lord Drakis, that when the creature mutates, return an instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard to your hand. So, we also have Stormkiln Artist, that gives you a treasure whenever you cast or copy an instant. So, free mana. Parcel Beast, another way to tap Kalamax without having to attack with him. Plus, can give you either a draw or a land. Gemraiser, to give Kalamax trample and reach, and whenever it mutates, it naturalizes, destroying an enchantment or enchantment, an artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. Sadly, this card has been 2 weeks in the post and hasn't arrived yet. This is supposed to be an Exalted Flamer of Tzinch. So 2 blue-red for a 2/4, Demon. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to your hand, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch deals 1 damage to each opponent. Still hasn't come up in any games, but I feel this might be a very powerful card to whittle down my opponent's life totals. Archmage Emeritus, Magecraft, draw a card. Dreamtail Heron, to give Kalamax flying, because most of the time I will be wanting to kill people with Kalamax, and so attacking with him will go a long way to accomplishing that particular goal. Then Melek, Izzet Paragon, another way for me to copy instants, plus I can play instants and sorceries from the top of my deck, and when they are cast from the top of my library, they are copied. So essentially this expands my hand in a way one more. Niv-Mizzet Parun, its art features lightning, gives me draws, deals damage whenever I cast instants or sorceries. It's just lovely. Sawtusk Demolisher, another way to give Kalamax trample, and when it mutates, it essentially is a more limited beast within, because it destroys a target non-creature permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 beast. Nezahal, Primal Tide. Given that this deck has the biggest amount of draw card spells I have ever run in a deck, an limitless hand size is very important. Plus, it itself is a draw engine. And Jadzi, Oracle of Arcavios, another Magecraft card that can save itself if I discard a card, can be bounced in my hand, and whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it is a non-land card, you may cast it by paying 1 rather than paying its mana cost. If it's a land, put it onto the battlefield. Has only come up once in a game, didn't really do much, but that game ended in a draw because I cast an explosion with X equals 29, and I had Niv-Mizzet on the field. So I killed 2 players with the copy, then I killed myself and the remaining 2 players by decking myself. Now, we're going to move on to the Storm itself, the instants and sorceries. We're going to start with the sorceries, which in this deck are a paltry 3 cards. Finale of Revelation, of Promise, and Echo of Eons. All of them are pretty much self-explanatory. A big draw spell, a way to recur instants and sorceries from my graveyard to copy them, and a mass recursion spell that can be cast from my graveyard if necessary. On to the instants, so the true meat of the deck. Brainstorm, it's a storm, so fits the bill. Crop rotation. An important thing to note about crop rotation is that when you cast it, you have to sacrifice a land as an additional cost, but the copies don't require you to sacrifice any more lands. As such, let's consider tapped Kalamax. Crop rotation is the first instant I cast it in that turn. You pay 1 and sacrifice a land and go grab any 2 lands you want from your deck. Be them duels, the Triome, the Reliquary Tower, anything you need. So this is particularly useful. Pull from Tomorrow, an instant draw spell, 2 blue and 1 and X. Draw instant, draw X cards, then discard a card. Very, very powerful. Deliberate, so another draw spell. Growth Spiral, a draw ramp spell. Joint Exploration, another draw ramp spell. Cyclonic Rift. All decks need at least 1 board wipe. The card I have won the most games with this deck with, Comet Storm. When copied, this thing can really go bzzzt all over everybody. Blink of an Eye. So it's a bounce spell that can also give you a card if you pay the kicker cost. Into the Royal, it's essentially the same card, but with a different name. The true combo piece of the deck is Narset's Reversal, because when you cast Narset's Reversal with a tapped Kalamax, it itself becomes copied. So then you can bounce, you can make the copy target Narset's Reversal, bouncing it to your hand, giving you another copy, giving you another copy, giving you another copy. With, for example, Ral's Storm Conduit, it's an infinite combo that kills the whole table. Storm King's Thunder, I really like this card. We also have the 3 Ikoria instants that are free if you have your commander out in Fierce Guardianship, Deflecting Swat, and Obscuring Haze. Beast Within, because it's a very useful instant. Chaos Warp, a staple in any red deck. Harrow, for 2 and a green and the additional cost of sacrificing a land, you search up your deck for 2 basic lands. As with Crop Rotation, you pay 3 and a land, and if it's copied, you go grab 4 lands. Basic lands. Capsize, because this thing is busted. Meeting of Minds, a draw spell that you can tap Kalamax to help cast. Behold the Multiverse, another draw spell. Eureka Moment, another draw/ramp spell. Chemist's Insight, more draw. Mystic Confluence, fundamentally another draw spell. Complete the Circuit, a spell that you can essentially in this deck says when you cast your next instant, copy it 4 times, because this thing gets copied itself by Kalamax if it is your first instant. Expansion Explosion. Essentially, the explosion part is what matters. X blue blue red red instant. Explosion deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X cards. Next is a Fate. The only X return spell I run, because it's an instant. And excuse me. Magma Opus. Yes, I know this is supposed to be a lightning themed deck, but I really wanted a very big Prismari spell in the deck. Just in case I really want to make a very big, very, very big thing. A note. When you copy an X spell, the X stays the same for the copy. So when I cast this thing, and I copied it twice, you'll see with the things that are there. Essentially, I had the next instant or sorcery I would cast would be copied 9 times. So I had this and X equals... No, 8 times. This with X equals 4. And then I cast a Comet Storm, X equals 10, and, you know, the whole table died. Which is so fun. Now, moving on to the trinkets. Starting with the enchantments. Font of Magic, which reduces the cost of your instants and sorceries for each time you've cast your commander. Double Vision. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, copy it. Shark Typhoon. The deck only runs, if I'm not mistaken, 12 creatures or something like that. I need more creatures, and these guys fly. And Arcane Bombardment. Sadly, I still haven't had the chance to test this card, but I feel it will be very powerful, given that whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, exile an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard. Then, copy each card exiled with Arcane Bombardment. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana costs. I still have to get a refresher on the rules text on this, but if I'm not mistaken... actually, no. This only copies cards. So these triggers will not give Kalamax any +1/+1 counters. And now onto the artifacts. Springleaf Drum, a way to tap Kalamax for mana. Thought Vessel, infinite hand size. Twinning Staff, busted. Completely busted with Kalamax. You don't even need to use the last ability, because this says whenever you would copy a spell 1 or more times, instead, copy it that many times, +1. You may choose new targets for the copies. And then 7, tap, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. This is just busted. Manascape Refractor. Given again that this is an Ikoria deck, I felt crystals and mana rocks that would be crystalline in nature would fit the deck thematically. Decanter of Endless Water, Relic of Legends and Honor Worn Shaku, other ways to tap Kalamax to have it tapped without having to attack, Primal Amulet, an obvious choice, and Prismatic Geoscope, which is here for the same reason as Manascape Refractor. It's a crystalline mana rock. Let's just put this all to the side. And now for the tips. I don't really have many tips for this deck. This is a very, so to speak, simple deck to build, in my opinion. You have Kalamax, ways to tap him, and then a buttload of instants to just dish out one at a turn. One each turn. I can say that this commander lends itself to a very convolutious game plan, where you want to get Kalamax out as soon as possible, tap him without attacking, and just combo off with Narset's Reversal or any other Storm King's Thunder. You just have a big burn spell in hand, you cast Storm King's Thunder, which itself gets copied, your next instance or sorcery gets copied a number of times, then you just lightning bolt everyone off the face of the planet. Other cards that I feel are very powerful here would be any cards that like Dual Caster Mage, the aforementioned Twinning Staff, Double Vision, even if your playgroup allows it, Lutri, the Spell Chaser. Any card that allows you to copy instants and sorceries is powerful in this deck, because it will give you an even bigger Kalamax. Another way you can sort of kind of board wipe is by using Chandra's Ignition. When you have a big Kalamax, you cast Chandra's Ignition and then Kalamax deals damage equal to its power to each other player and each other creature. Essentially, he erupts in flames. And now for the end. All in all, Kalamax is a rather narrow commander, as I've said, given that he only copies one instant each turn, and only if he is tapped. But this also allows you to play any number of crazy powerful spells, plus you should play them during your opponent's turns for maximum fun and or chaos. And with this, we finished this commander deck about my Kalamax the Stormsire deck. I truthfully hope this inspires you to try out this Zappy Dino and have fun slinging and copying your instants. Please do not forget to like and subscribe for more weekly deck techs, and if you have any suggestions, please do not hesitate to leave them in the comment box below. I hope to see you all next time.